Hello, my name is Rachel, and I teach in the creative writing department. And I'm here to tell this wonderful group of seniors, congratulations. I'm so proud of all of you.
Stephen and Darren and Ava and Jordan and Vivian and Josh and Andrew. Commencement is my favorite season. And the senior reading, well, that's my favorite event. So I will miss you all, seeing you all in Fellowship Hall and hearing you read live, but I'm so happy that we're able to hear you right here in this venue. You know, for the writer, isolation is our bread and butter, but what we write about is connection. So I'm glad to have a little of that connection here with you all tonight. Congratulations. Onward.
Hi, good evening. Welcome to the Creative Writing Department's Senior Reading. My name is Tessa Fontaine, and I'm a professor of creative writing here at Warren Wilson. And it was my absolute pleasure to get to teach the senior project course this semester and work with all of these incredible students all the way from the beginning of the semester to this point, which is very different from where we all thought we would be. Early in the semester, we, as a group, discussed the idea of what compels us to write. What has made every student in this group get to this moment that they're in right at the beginning of the semester, where they're ready to embark on a project of a great magnitude. They were going to write up to between 35 and 65 pages. And so what is the thing that gets us there? We read some other writers, the way that other writers talk about it and use descriptors like this demon that compels you to write, or a fairy, this great passion that you have. And we started generating some of our own too, right? What is the thing that gets you up and gets you going and writing these pieces? And added some of our own ideas, like this passion, this spark that you have, an experience of the world that you feel compelled to share, a bright light that somehow you see or you feel, or a quest for justice, a thrill, all of these different ways that get people to the beginning of this journey together. And the thing that has most amazed me is actually what's gotten us to the end of this journey at this particular moment is grit, is the practice and the hard work of taking all of those beautiful pieces of inspiration and working them over and over, putting all of the years of craft that these students have learned into these projects that have turned out just wonderfully. The styles and the forms and the genres and the subjects and the interests range greatly among these students, and yet they've been incredibly generous with one another, supporting each other through this process. And especially as things have turned so unusual and they've engaged in this virtual world, I've just been continually impressed and in awe of the community that has absolutely sustained throughout this time. It's unusual to have a pre-recorded reading, but watching what the students have made, I feel that same kind of energy and enthusiasm in each of these readings as would happen in a live audience. And so I hope that you feel that too, and can sense how much both inspiration and grit has gone into the making of these projects. The seniors have worked hard. They've written a lot, they've engaged with one another deeply, and these are long, big projects. They've chosen excerpts to read for you, and I am just absolutely delighted to get to introduce them this evening and join you in congratulating all of them on achieving this milestone, and really take pleasure in letting their words wash over us. So seniors, thank you for letting me and the creative writing department be part of your journey. Congratulations. Can't wait for you to blow us away.
I first met Stephen Gifford Bell in the hallway of the second floor of Jensen. where we had a conversation about the fact that we both play the video game Horizon Zero Dawn. I think at that point I didn't even know Stephen was a poet. It was a semester before he showed up in my advanced poetry class, and since then we've had dozens of conversations about contemporary poets, about Stephen's own poetry, about the power of poetry in the world. Stephen is an amazing explorer of bilingualism, biculturalism, both on a national level and a personal level. He writes powerful poetry about his own place in the world, and the world as a place for him. And more importantly than that, he is an enthusiastic supporter of poetry for everyone, and accessibility and just joy. I worked with him a little bit, but it was mainly Stephen on bringing the poet Jose Oliveras to campus. Stephen decided this is something he wanted to do. It was a poet whose work really resonated with him, and so he took it on himself. He partnered with local organizations, he raised the money, he made contact with Jose, and he brought this nationally recognized poet to campus to do a really powerful workshop and a public reading in Asheville as part of a conference on immigration. Because Stephen believes in the power of poetry, and he is part of the power of poetry. I think you're really going to love what you're about to hear.
Dear reader, I thought I would start this by telling you a story about my dad and I back in Ibarra. So here goes. When I was 13 and staring towards high school, my mom sent me to him for the summer. I was freaked about changing schools, so she thought he could build me up. One day, when the sun wasn't too strong or the wind too harsh, my father drove us up La Avenida Atahualpa and around towards the base of Eva Madrah. He said we were going to climb this mountain, all the way to the summit. It was summer, but the peak of the mountain was still cloaked in snow that morning. They called these tallest giants nevados for a reason. Anyway, we began our ascent later when the snow had melted somewhat. I had acclimated to the altitude in Ibarra by this point, but the mountain lives in a different world of height, so we made our ascent slowly, stopping to gaze at ridges rolling like loaves of bread, hills compared to Eva Madrah beneath our feet. Our guide led. My father translated where my Spanish stopped, and after lumbering hours, we almost hit summit, and I've been lying to you this whole poem. The mountain is that high, but I never climbed it. I don't want to disappoint you. I'm sorry. I don't want to disappoint my father and I didn't know each other back then. I'm sorry I did that. I'm sorry. Sorry. What was the name of that movie? You know, the politician who couldn't lie. It got him my attention. Do I have your attention? Do I have to tell you the truth? To tell you the truth, I have a lot of ground to cover. I have to cover some things up. To be honest with you, I just need my space sometimes. I need my secrets. But to be honest with you, I want to be honest with you. I want to. Ordinary origin story. The setting? South Florida. Sarasota. Pan the camera across Gillespie Park. High-rise palm trees teeter in the breeze. Heat and stickiness mix in the August air. Love bugs join in matrimony in this panting sky and paint our windshields with their welded bodies. The genre? Autobiography. A movie about myself. Some story of how I did this or that with Javi, how we send balls bounding over our apartments, how I watched him hang on the back of Angel's mini bike, pick up speed, and let go. His Heelys, wings. I meant to fill my movie with metaphors for the shade of the palm trees and the cool under Javi's shadow. How I watched him sail away, felt glued to the ground. About yearning to peel back my skin and paint the screen with the glisten of Ecuador hidden in my blood. But now, all I see are his hands leaving the tail of the bike. The moment I saw a Tempe Tejano transplant soar, upstaging the Wright brothers in human flight. Miss Healy's birth my hero. South Florida origin story. The Superman of the 941. Things I would devour if I could drag time back to my Gillespie. A Totino's registered party pizza, one that tastes like memory. Pounds on pounds of the crumbled dough Teresa broke from sponges of cakes not quite good to sell. The sun's heat radiating over the tennis courts. The cakes Teresa could sell, but gifted us anyway. Strawberries, grapes, and kiwis shining over the toppings and hiding in layers. Not maybe my taste, but a taste of my home. A hot dog box full of 7-Eleven registered mini tacos, their shells crunched surrendering, their grease pulling my tongue in its embrace. The dirt slick with motor oil. The humid air holding me tight. My mom's soup, reanimated from Gladware containers for nights battling with Javi, Angel, Jonathan. Soup a brick so solid I could have bashed it on the burgers that tried to finesse a window or lock every now and then. The contracts for the new mansion, coming up in the hood. Let's follow them page by fucking page. The grease from the mini tacos. The oil in the carport. The sun. The greasy air. The love bug. Out of the following options, select what seems most filling. A. A convenience store snack that takes you almost back home to your childhood ease. B. The work of a new home, of building a community beautiful like the one you remember. C. A second bowl of pasta with your secret Alfredo recipe, made so well you made yourself proud. Then the third bowl of the meal nobody else will witness. D. An hour or two with a friend from that old hood. A bit of time where time loses some of its power. Where you don't have deadlines to meet, and he is enwrapped in the call of fatherhood. E. Another serving of that secret recipe, split with a woman who sat patient with you, eating your other, not-so-glamorous tries. F. His daughter's smile, shining in your imagination, their childhood, maybe a bit like yours. Café listo. My father begins the day simple. A spoon or two of Nescafé, sugar, and a bread from one of the panaderias in the city. Sometimes he picks pan dulce, sometimes a roll stuffed with cheese, sometimes he lets me choose. But he always chooses the store. He knows I might choose one of the places he doesn't like. I've been gone for so long, after all, and he knows his world, to me, is still so new. America raised me into someone unfamiliar with his home, unfamiliar with him. In the store, he makes sure to grab a bag or two of milk. At home, he makes sure I cut the bag right this time. One time, I cut so badly the milk went everywhere except the cup. I seem so young for someone who has been gone for so long. At lunch, my father feasts, eats better than I do back with my mom. But for dinner, he ends every day the way he starts it. Café liso, milk, and pan. I don't know if he prefers his pattern or simply learned it. I didn't ask. There are so many things I didn't ask. My Spanish and his English left so many gaps. For years, we didn't know each other's faces, our voices. Too many nights, I chose not to join him at the table. There are so many memories with gaps. But there are, as well, those nights we sat together, understanding as best we could, ending the day how we started it, breaking bread and drinking something warm.
Hello. I have known Darryl since he took my acting class in his first year at Warren Wilson. He resisted demonstrating his acting prowess, especially when I said things like, Darwin, you have such talent, or Dwayne, keep your hands to yourself. Good times. I have worked with Dermot in several circumstances, the most recent being developing his new play, Jeremiah. During our class meetings, we discussed religion and politics, James Baldwin and Black Rage, Jones's good-ass barbecue and foot rub. Darcy has amazing insight into relevant cultural topics. In order to do this introduction, I asked Dirk to send me samples of his writing, and he sent some truly disturbing comedy, a poetic elegy, and a diary of pretty much my own thoughts. Dino really can look into the soul of a person. I see my minute is running out, so I'm just going to say that whatever Dervish chooses to read, you want to listen closely. His is a singular voice that I have no doubt you'll be hearing from in what is sure to be his celebrated future. And now, without further nonsense, I give you Darren J. Winston.
My dad and I bonded over my vibrator. Is that weird to say? I can't imagine why it would be weird if it is. We've all watched a scene or two along those lines. Son is handling business in his room. Dad comes in the room and catches son jacking away. Dad scolds son. Plot twist. Dad comes in son. Dad leaves, right? That's not just me. You're left confused. How did we get to this point? I'm just kidding. Was that too much? I think my dad would be upset if he knew that I'd seen my fair share of those type of videos. I'll admit it's a little odd, just a little, especially when your impressionable 6-year-old brother is there to witness it. God Almighty. Why do little siblings come in at the worst times? They have the worst timing of any creature on earth. Okay, technically it was my fault because I did sound like I was being murdered. And E.T., his name is actually Eric, but I call him E.T. after E.T.'s finger because he isn't circumcised. But that's none of your business. His nickname also pairs well with my nickname, TT. However, you are not allowed to call him ET because that's my little munchkin and I'd kill a rock over him. So don't try it. Anyways, ET, being the ever so loving little brother, came to check in on me. He should have been doing his homework. I mean, I guess he's only in the first grade, so he wouldn't have too much homework in the first place. That was a miscalculation on my part, I'll admit. But look, I've been excited all week long because I had just got my package in from AdamMail.com. Yes, sir. Use discount code HUNG for 50% off purchases over $60 and up. I sure as hell did, yes indeed. Just as sure as the sun rises and Ving Rhames is my baby daddy. Ving Rhames. Now, I'm not gay, I think, but would go gay for Ving Rhames. What a gift to mankind. I first saw Ving Rhames making after sex breakfast ass naked in the movie Baby Boy. It was love at first sight from the very moment he turned around and asked the startled Jody, want some breakfast? And then proceeded to drink the last glass of Kool-Aid like he was advertising in a Sprite commercial. What a man, Maury. Jody didn't appreciate this new boyfriend of his mama cooking breakfast naked in the kitchen after laying pipe as much as I would have. If I would have stumbled across Daddy Rames making breakfast in my kitchen, he wouldn't have even gotten the whole question. Yes, yes. 2 eggs, scrambled, 3 pieces of bacon, and that posa cabasa, please. All of it. Is it ethical to want your mom's new boyfriend? Doesn't seem to matter in some of the videos I've seen. All right, so I sure did acquire a discount code to an online sex toy store. How did I get it? Well, it definitely didn't come from scrolling through the Pornhub comments beneath a thick Twinks World Ass for Days video. That's for damn sure. It doesn't matter how I got it. Anyways, I took off to search the depths of the fornication that doesn't count store and was open to cue the Aladdin music, a whole new world. Fleshlights, flesh jacks, flesh grips, flesh, strokers, clients caught I be stroking, stimulators, head teasers, prostate massagers. A massage sounds nice. Both ways bends, cock rings. Is that like an engagement ring? Clone willies, dildos. That was Frodo's uncle, wasn't it? I think that was. Anal beads, butt plugs. Dad did say I needed one of those when I was a baby. Penis sleeves. Sounds like that would be good for cold weather. Probes, bullets. I'm not trying to contribute to any more gun violence. It's just not. I don't see it for myself. It's not in my forte. There was too much, or as ET says, a whole lot of much. How in the hell am I supposed to choose from all of this? I had no idea. So I did what any reasonable person in a situation like that would do. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tiger by its toe. If it hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. prostate massager. Click. Hail Mary, full of grace. Prostate massagers are weird looking things. They look like musical notes. As I scrolled through the page, it felt like I was reading sheet music. I figured at any moment I'd hear a song play. I wonder what this note this one makes. All of their bends and curves and bulbs were funny looking things. And black. Why were they all black? Subliminal messaging much? Come on now. And the descriptions, behold, this luxurious, ultra supple medical grade silicone premium toy is sure to enhance your back end experience. Cycle through 4 mind numbing functions, including 4 speed patterns and 3 pulsation modes. You know, now that I think about it, I don't like the name prostate massager. There needs to be a different name for it. It sounds too medical, if you know what I mean. It also sounds too much like prostate rights, which, according to my AP US history teacher, historically doesn't mean what people says it means. But that's not my problem. And the reviews, 2 out of 5. This toy would have been an amazing addition to me and my wife's sex life if it didn't break after one use. Interesting. Okay. 3 out of 5. The functions are amazing and the size works well. It's a bit size if you're a size queen like me, but it sure gets the job done. What is a size queen? These are the questions that need answering. 3 out of 5. Kind of disappointed. Thought the man came with the prostate toy. What man? My baby daddy Bing Rames? Let me find out. 5 out of 5. A guaranteed orgasm like you've never had before. Only experienced bottoms. That one, and that one. I wasn't an experienced bottom like Jay Gorgeous or Hayden Breyer or even Alan Wernick. They were whole dick-taking gods. I couldn't compete with that, but if this thing was giving out never had before orgasms, I figured it might be worth a try. I ordered it immediately, paying with a prepaid debit card that my dad got me in order to teach me responsibility now that I was coming up on my 50th birthday and needed to know how to spend money responsibly. Personally, between you and me, I thought it was responsible use of money. I was evolving, stepping into new levels. I was tired of beating my dick with a spit hand and fiddling my butthole with 2 soapy fingers. It was time to elevate. So I ordered it. Sure did. Then came the long wait of 8 to 10 business days. And no, I wasn't going to spend an extra $15 on expedient shipping simply because the AdamMail.com people felt. Just because they gave me 50% off on a $70 toy that they were going to charge me a normal shipping rate. Yeet, I checked the mailbox that same afternoon and every day just to make sure it hadn't come. I knew when it came, though, 8 days later. I felt it when I stepped off the bus onto the driveway holding E.T.'s hand. My spirit was unsettled. There was a disturbance in the force. I nearly amputated his hand moving to the mailbox. In it was a thick gray package with a fake name Ving Rames on it. Why? Hell if I know. I let out something close to a pig squeal at the fright of E.T., who, being a nosy 6-year-old, wanted to know what was in the package. Mind your business, kid. Needless to say, the next 5 minutes were hectic. I hastily opened door, quickly setting up YouTube for E.T. to watch on TV in the living room, quantum leaps up the stairs that resulted in a rug-flavored sandwich. Halfway up, rushing to my room and shutting door, package, tape, white box with image of what looked like a gear shift my dad's Grand Cherokee, paper, bubble wrap, and more bubble wrap. Small manual that no one reads. 3-in-1 cleaner, sample lube, promo code, plastic, Vincero. Behold, le ac prostate messager. Oh my God, time to get it in. Yes, God. Cut!
I first met Eva Madrah in my advanced poetry class a couple of semesters ago, and since then have worked with her as an independent study student, getting together drafts for her senior portfolio, and have grown to know her as an enthusiastic advocate for the transformative power of poetry. Most delightfully recently, she's been helping lots of us get through quarantine by daily readings of Sharon Olds poetry on her Instagram stories. Ava's own poetry is vulnerable, powerful explorations of trauma as formative and transformative, looking at childhood trauma through the lens of a more mature understanding of how those events shape people, and how we can grow through and overcome. It's poetry of great vulnerability, and if you have not heard her work, you are in for, I won't call it a treat, but you're in for quite an experience. She's an amazing poet, and I think you're going to enjoy this.
Hi, I'm Ava, and for my senior reading, I will be reading a collection of creative nonfiction pieces entitled Thicker. Thicker. 1. I'm 7 months old when the first Israeli visa is stamped into my passport. I am accompanying my parents on the annual pilgrimage to continue excavations at the archaeological dig where they first met. My Gidda, also a Jew, has been begging my parents to baptize me. Her family had to wear Christianity as protection and wishes to pass this safety down to me. It's reluctantly agreed upon that I will be blessed in the River Jordan. Wearing white, a ribbon with a silver scarab from Egypt is tied around my neck. A Methodist minister holds my infant flesh and marks it holy, with water collected in a cup from the kibbutz cafeteria. 2. Our parents unpack bags of towels and plastic beach toys as we run around the rental, claiming rooms for each of our families. This town is kind of like our hometown. Both are intended for people who will not stay. Tourists or college students, what's the difference anyway? There are house signs with puns, and people visit to get drunk and make memories, leaving beer cans and cigarette butts in their place. On the beach, Noah catches little crabs that burrow into the sand while I make drip castles. We hear Jonathan yell, and my mom covers my eyes. I look between the cracks in her fingers and see where the current tried to rip his arm from his shoulder. When Carol calls my mom from the hospital, she says it's a dislocation. 3. At 10 years old, my Gid and Gidda take me back to Egypt, the country we claim as our homeland. I'd taken my first steps in the Cairo sand, but nothing feels familiar. 5 generations away from Eva Madrah, who was sold to a German man looking for a wife, we stay with other tourists in a 5-star Swedish hotel. Gid and Gidda drive us to the riverbank, and, covered in souvenirs, we sail along the Nile with their old friends. It's dirtier than the pictures in my social studies textbooks, and I'm surprised but not disappointed as we drink the loose mint tea and enjoy the sunset. I'll return to the States with a gold hieroglyphic nameplate necklace and a dirty Nestle water bottle filled with Egyptian sand and cigarette butts. 4. The August before 8th grade, my grandfather pays for a Fisher family vacation to Folly Beach. I leave my swimsuit in Ohio, so I pick out a new glittery one with a bandeau top that I think makes me look like I'm a high schooler. I wear it when I lay down on my towel daily, rotating every 30 minutes from noon to 2. My mom warns me to cover myself up, and I don't take her seriously. When I'm not sunbathing, I swim out past where my toes can touch the sand. The waves punch my body and I get salt water in my eyes, but I keep swimming back until salty snot stains my lips. At first, I think it's leeches, but my screaming drowns out all other thoughts. The pain jolts around my legs, and my dad begins to run to me as the rest of the beachgoers stare from the shore. The thing untangles from my legs, and he carries me back to the sand covered in hot pink splotches. In front of God and everyone, my grandfather offers to piss on my body as I'm lying on the sand, to claim me, this time for everyone to see. My mother quickly objects and rubs baking soda salve over my legs as I cry in the bathtub. For the rest of the trip, I do what I can to avoid the water. But as he has paid for this vacation, my grandfather feels entitled to tell me that he doesn't have empathy for quitters, won't let me avoid what the ocean has done to me. I walk until the water reaches my shins and turn back around. 5. The summer before college, I opt out of the family beach trip. It was sweet of my grandmother to take charge of the vacations after the family was divided, but it still reminds me of him, and I don't like the ocean anyways. A week before the trip, my underage nudes are posted to a rape fetish site, and my mother walks in on me pulling my hair out. It is decided that I am not safe by myself, and the road trip is long and tense. At the beach house, I sit on the porch and read. The sun turns my cheeks pink and reminds me that no matter how much Arabic I learn, I am even whiter than I think I am. Deluded. My cousin Paloma is the only relative I feel any compassion for. I know that she looks up to me, and also that none of this is her fault. She sits next to me and tells me that her favorite color is bright red, and her favorite princess is Anna, and her favorite animal is a cheetah, but that she also really likes dogs because they're so cute. I resent her mother, the feminist playwright who doesn't believe that our grandfather raped me. But I go to Facebook to send her a photo of me and Paloma anyways. And there he is, right at the top of her page. He's tagged her in a post about how much he loves his family. Not only that, my white grandfather has given himself an Arab name and taken Islam as his sixth religion. I lock myself in the shared bathroom to misuse the razors dedicated to beach-ready bikini lines. I know I won't be able to wear a two-piece, but that's low on my list of priorities. After my mother realizes where I am, she opens the door and slathers Aquaphor all over my thighs and bandages them. She reminds me of the benefits of salt water. On the last day, I take her advice and wade into the ocean fully clothed, my sister holding my hand. The salt stings my legs, but we walk slowly. Once the water reaches my waist, we pause. I focus on the wind and the waves and take a deep breath in before we walk back to the shore.
Ever since Jordan and I met on our first day of class at Warren Wilson, it has been a privilege to be her friend and to see her grow as a person and a writer. The passage she is about to read is from one of her most impressive stories. It takes you down to the bayou, following a fiery girl who investigates a murder, which takes a turn for the supernatural, If you love a good unconventional mystery, you're in for a treat. Now, here's Darrin Zachary Senior reading.
Hello, and thank you for listening to my reading of The Dream Keeper. Pale fingers grasping a hot cup. It was one of those paper cups, covered in an office brand logo, and inside of it sloshed what looked like chicken broth and smelled like charcoal. Funny, on bones their coffee is never burnt. My fingers looked extraordinarily long, pointed nails chipping with black paint, shaking when I finally put the cup down, resting on the fold-out table. It was almost as equally flimsy as the cup. From the orange and brown stains, it looked like the table was used for picnics almost exclusively. Drink rings and crawfish stains, at least I hope they were crawfish, beneath my fingertips. They probably only yanked the table from storage when they decided on distancing me from my dad. They came early in the morning, or what felt early during spring break, which is to say any time before noon. Dad was asleep, I guess, and being the responsible college girl I was, I answered the door in my SpongeBob SquarePants footy pajamas and only once demanded, in the strongest southern matriarchal accent I could muster, "What on God's green earth are you doing here so goddamn early in the goddamn morning? Who the hell do you think you are?" Only to be met with badges and to be informed that they were, in fact, the police. The Natchitoches police, to be exact. They'd woken up Dad too, but I was already fighting handcuffs when they brought him out to the 2 cop cars idling in our driveway. What was once, "We just want to chat," turned into being driven down to the station and plopped into an interrogation room, which was more like a broom closet without any brooms, but with all of the smell. Musty, gray-carpeted, and complete with slightly flickering fluorescent light above, flies trapped aplenty beneath the bulb. It looked nothing like the ones on TV. What happened to the metallic table that I'm handcuffed to? The 2-way mirror that's to my back where people watch. The tough detective with a manila folder with all kinds of documents and a clear plastic bag with material evidence. There was, though, a surveillance camera in the top right-hand corner of the room. I figured it was because they didn't have one of those 2-way mirrors. Real police really lacked the personality of their television cousins. I sat back in the white folding chair I was offered, and it creaked beneath me. And just as I wondered if I would get charged with breaking police property if this thing gave out with me in it, a man in a light gray suit walked in. He paired the dusty gray with a beige undershirt and tie, and black slacks with black shoes. It wasn't the best-looking thing in the world, but he clearly tried. His dark hair was gelled back, and he didn't even look at me until he sat down. His folding chair creaked beneath him, too. His hand was only extended to me after he sat, a black folder sitting before him as he did so. His nails were manicured. A light pink of the bed showed against the tan of his skin, spray or otherwise. He did look a little orange in the light. "We meet again, Georgia," he said. His voice was light, though serious. The words slipped easily through his teeth, and he showed them, all pearly in a smile. My brows drew together, though I took his hand. It was only after feeling the bone-crushing capture of his grip that I could even begin to remember this bastard. "Mr. Nemelli, how are you?" asked I, shaking his hand across the table, taking it back and massaging it in my lap. I've met Mr. Nemelli several times while I've been studying at New Orleans U. He'd crashed a few parties on campus, as well as facilitated some of the proceedings when my parents were divorced. He was called on when it got pretty ugly, which was the entire divorce. Though Mr. Nemelli always scared me. His eyes were unblinking, and once he got the grip of someone, he wasn't letting go. I always had the opinion that he was an alligator person, kind of like a Rougarou, except half alligator instead of wolf. Who knows? Maybe that's why he covered himself in cologne and a spray tan, to hide how he lived in the swamps, and the tan was for his scales. I once told my theory to my little brother, only a bit younger than me, and he agreed. Said Mr. Nemelli was his own kind of monster. Said his wife was a Burmese python. My brother. A bubble formed in my stomach and I felt sick. Like everything in my abdomen was suspended in vomit, and if I opened my mouth, my intestines would fall out. A burn in the back of my throat gave warning, and I must have gone pale because Mr. Nemelli cocked his head to the side. Well, Miss Georgia, if you hadn't resisted or shoved one of our officers down your front porch when he tried to enter your house, you wouldn't be here right now. It would have been real civilized in your living room. He shouldn't have been trying to get into my house when I said no. Besides, we're real civilized right here and right now. Why am I here? I demanded, crossing my arms on my chest. I hadn't done anything illegal to my knowledge. Not this week, anyway. As hard as this may be, Miss Georgia, we wanted to inform you that we're reopening the case of your brother's killing. We've got a new detective, and he specializes in cases that have gone cold. Well, colder, Mr. Nemelli said, flashing a smile in my direction, though it did nothing to ease me. I couldn't breathe. My ears started ringing, and everything was smothered in a white noise and a silent scream that fell from the gap between my lips. The vomit in my stomach bubbled up to my throat. It's been 2 years. The words left my lips, slicing his statement down the middle. When he mentioned Jax, it was as if all of the breath was pressed from my lungs, and arms went limp. My knees started bouncing and shaking at the same time, and fat water droplets gathered, blurring my vision before they kissed their way down my cheeks. 2 years since his death, and now y'all want to act like detectives? Miss Georgia, I know! Y'all pushed Jax off to the wayside! Miss Georgia, bullshit! I yelled, at once standing and slamming my hands on the picnic table, collapsing one under the table with the force of it. Bull fucking shit! The words grated against my tongue, spewing venom and spit at the alligator man. You listen to me, and you listen well. I began, raising a shaking finger to point directly at his upturned nose. I will not have this time end like the last. Y'all are gonna fucking listen to me if you're dragging me through this again. You don't get to make those kind of terms, Mr. Nemelli stated quickly, reptilian eyes hard set on my own. Well, then that's just too bad for you, because I'm not lifting a goddamn finger until you chuckle fucks actually take this seriously. Take me seriously, I snarled, leaning closer to him. The picnic table groaned under my weight. I will not have Jax die with no closure. I won't do it. Thank y'all for watching. I hope you enjoyed.
It is my distinct pleasure to introduce Vivian Eggleston. We know that we are not supposed to envy the limberness of that yogi, pretzeling themselves in front of us on the mat. Let it go, they tell us. This fixation is only a distraction from your own path. Oh, I have tried to listen to that wisdom. I have tried to be my own poet on my own poetry mat. But I must confess to you here tonight, I envy the limberness of Vivian's poems. Look at this loose-limbed imagination that so easily folds itself into any subject, that inhabits any voice, that turns and turns into unbelievable and yet always fully human positions. Watch as each poem shapes, swivels, wheels, twirls, pivots, and then unknots to repose. Here we go. Vivian?
Hi, my name is Vivian Eggleston, and this first poem is called Anti-Catholic Sentiment. When I was 8, I went to a Catholic church with my school friend. I liked the embroidered lamb that hung in the picture window, and when the congregation crossed themselves, so did I, drawing it on my left hand with my right thumb because I wanted to feel the motion, but it had to be secret because I wasn't Catholic. But the words they had for God were punishing and strict, and they made me fill in a coloring book about sin. And I thought of the words I held to God from the songs we sang in assembly. Swaddled, surrounded, cradled, our Lord in whom we move and breathe and have our being. And I thought, my God isn't angry that I started going to church just to eat lemon pound cake with glaze off a napkin so I wouldn't get it on my best dress. He's just happy I attend. During weekend chores, I sang, Rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham, except I imagined Abraham Lincoln holding me to his large, smooth breasts. And my dad and I played a game where he put his arms behind him, and on his lap I tried to send him backwards, pushing his shoulders over and over. He would never be moved. He just laughed and laughed until I collapsed into the soft, clean t-shirt on his chest and thought, I don't know about Catholics, but I think my God smells like laundry detergent. The second poem is called Dream Boy. My boy can leap upstream like a rippling fish in the froth that gets snapped up by dripping muzzle and turns into a spray of red against the river, cranberry juice on my best shirt. My boy has legs like a grasshopper, fried and twisted onto slick sticks by a street vendor. Watch, the sounds of a city follow him into some quiet mouth. My boy has apostle hands. They cup, cradle, rock me closer to God. He is praying mantis. I am praying Judas. I will kiss his cheek for 30 silvers, bite off his head for free. This next poem is called Mad Dog Survival Guide by a 9-year-old, and it is the long one, so settle in. Running back from the general store in July, you need a game plan. Either chug your whole throat-tearing cola right there on the porch steps, or don't open it till you reach home. Otherwise, it'll spill, 'cause you're gonna have to run, playing hot potato with your feet to keep the tarmac from sizzling through the weak bottoms of your Converse. Stay single file and close to the ditch, 'cause the cars go screaming round the curves here, and we don't want roadkill. It would be easier, maybe, to walk in the grass of the neighbor's yard, safe and soft, but that ruins neighborhood instinct number 1. Avoid the dogs. First building past the store and a tree line is the old school. It looms stained, with rain tarps out the paneless windows, wheezing or dangling, depending on the wind. The property is guarded by a gang of construction vehicles that haven't been driven or moved a brick since the family moved in. They haven't spoken to us since they moved in either, because we wouldn't go to church with them. Born-agains, Daddy laughs. And whenever you get near their stretch of road, their dogs go wild. 3 of them, big, mottled in dull grays, gunmetal and drain water. When they run at you barking, you can see their gums, pink and poisoned as insulation roll. Hightail it across the road before they reach the front yard, before the father comes out to call them back, 'cause he's never given us more than a glare, and one time I saw his teeth. They were square and slimy like moss. Now on the left side of the road, there's safe passage for a little while, past houses with old ladies who grow sour cherry trees. In amongst their squat branches, there's a scarecrow in a lawn chair, only it's not really a scarecrow, it's a life-size Barbie doll. This is her part-time retirement position, since they don't use her to teach sex ed at the Sunday school anymore. For this patch, you can walk slow in the grass. Open one of the pieces of Hubba Bubba that's been melting in your back pocket. Almost home. Just gotta go past the Goolsby's place. 3 generations in 2 white single wides that we avoid like twin plague tents. There's a daughter our age who lives there, but we don't know her. She doesn't ride the bus with us. I've never seen her go past the front gate. She stands with a watering hose in the patch of dirt and dog toys. Her father might be all right. He brings us a 7-Eleven bag of apples at Christmas that my mother gets mad at my sister for turning her nose up at. Fruit is a gift, she says. Don't make fun when someone's being kind. But still, he has a tight-set mouth that makes a kid nervous without Mama there, and they have a too thin German shepherd lassoed to the splintering porch pillar by a chain. So carry a stick to feel brave if the dog starts snarling, give up being brave and cross to the other side of the street again if the grandfather comes out to shut them up. He's the one our mothers say to keep away from, the old man with the Popeye jaw and riot eyes. One of his wife's eyelids droops like a crooked storefront awning. They say he did it to her. Her iris has wandered into the far dark corner, so when you look at her, all there is the bright sclera, like a sheeny white flag. Surrender, surrender. This next poem is called The First Real Death. The First Real Death. This next poem is called The First Real Death. No warning came, no tweak in the old woman's elbow, no birds drove to shelter, the locusts did not go cautious dumb. There weren't even seconds to count between the thunder and the break. There was just a boy and then a shadow, pumped out through a tube, the first real death. What is the reach of a young life gone? Has God been slit, hind to head, swinging empty? Or is it only that a stray moth has chewed a hole in the universe, just big enough to fit my finger through? This last poem is called My Belly is a Yellow Field Spot. My belly is a yellow field spot from the months I spent sunk into a bed when the bad faith signals the system sent me gave me lead limbs and electric shocks, and I dropped like a bullet weight to the stream bottom, swaying in silt. While I lay at the bottom of the world, the kitchen floor, using all my strength to airplane spoonfuls of peanut butter from the Jiffy jar to my mouth, I thought, how rude of all of you to keep moving. But then how overwhelming were the rare days when I donned a scarf with purpose, going out into the perfect air that would spark against my throat but not noose it. And I knew I must be the luckiest in the world that I could rest under a bare tree at the golden hour of noon in winter and watch train cars rumbling past the dentist's office. Thank you.
Hi, I'm David Mykoff. I teach English at Warren Wilson College, and I'm introducing Josh Darby. Josh was my student in at least 4 courses, and I've enjoyed watching his development from a rather timid, intimidated-looking chap to a student who's always ready with a good comment or question or quip to offer to the class. It's a growth in poise and confidence that's gratifying to see. But I haven't worked with Josh only in classes. He was the prop master for a Warren Wilson Theater production of Dracula, the vampire play, a couple of years ago, in which I played Dr. Van Helsing with an absolutely atrocious stage German accent. Not my most subtle performance. But one of Josh's many tasks was to keep track of all my many props. And every evening after a show, he would gather all my stuff together, and this included a small vial of holy water, a glow-in-the-dark crucifix, and a bunch of plastic ferns, which we presented as Wulfsbane. Well, Josh would conscientiously gather all this stuff up and carefully pack it into the doctor's bag that I had to carry on stage. So the doctor's bag had a faulty clasp that sometimes drew blood, maybe appropriately, and Josh fixed that for me, so I no longer was spilling out and bleeding all over the stage. Anyway, we had a kind of quiet war going on because he would pack things the way he thought they should go, and at the before curtain of every show, I would unpack it and repack it the way I wanted to, and I'm not sure we ever quite came to an accord on that, and I probably drove him absolutely crazy doing that. But anyway, Josh is going to be reading from a film script he's written. I haven't read the final version, but I did read a draft of it, and it seems to me to be an interesting study of youthful friendship and coming of age. Josh Darby.
Come on, man. Today's the day. You've marked it on your calendar. You promised yourself you would do this. You've thought long and hard about this. Not a drop of doubt in your mind. You're certain of who you are. It's time your parents are as well. Okay, let's do this. Hey, Mom?
Yeah?
Where's Dad?
He went out to get groceries, sweetie. Why?
Oh, nothing. Actually, can you come up here real quick?
What for?
There's something I want to tell you.
Well, why don't you just come down here and tell me?
Mom, can you please just come up here?
All right, I'm coming.
Okay, Mom. Please have a seat.
Okay. All right, I'm sitting. You have my full attention. What do you need to tell me?
Okay, Mom, there's something I've been meaning to tell you for a while. It's something that has just been weighing on my mind, but I haven't told you such a heavy thing because I'm afraid of what's going to happen afterwards, but I promised myself that I would do this today, so here goes. Mom, I'm gay. Well, anything you want to say?
Honey, I've known, and to be honest, I'm surprised you waited so long to tell me. But you should know, nothing's changed, and I still love you.
Oh my God, Mom, I'm so glad to hear that. I was just so worried. Wait, you knew? How?
Well, sweetie, to be honest, I've known for a couple months, actually. You see, one day when you were out with the Colemans, I went into your room to see if you made your bed, like you told me you would. And when I looked on your bed, I found your computer. And on your computer, there were videos of guys with other guys.
Oh God. I'm so sorry you found out that way.
It's okay. I will say the other surprise was the variety of guys on the page. I mean, I'm proud of you for being so open-minded, but still.
Okay, Mom. Does Dad know about them or about me?
Oh no, honey, I wouldn't do that. This isn't my news to share, and I know how big of a deal it is. I wouldn't ruin it for you. I'll let you tell your father when you get home.
Thanks, Mom.
Of course. And I'll only say this. I think you'll be surprised as to what your father has to say.
Thanks, Mom. That makes me feel better and a bit more at ease.
I'm glad.
There is something else I want to ask you, or rather get your advice on.
Of course. What is it?
I was planning on telling Ozzy and Rob about myself, but I don't know how they'll take it.
Well, if I know the Coleman brothers, I'm sure they're going to be your friends no matter what. After all, you three have grown up together and have been through a lot. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised as to how they'll take it.
Thanks, Mom.
No problem.
Okay. All right. I'm supposed to meet the Colemans outside up on the hill, so I'm gonna get going. Bye, Mom.
Okay, bye.
I'm gonna win this time, Ozzy.
We'll see about that.
Dang it, Ozzy. I was gonna win.
Maybe next time, Rob.
Boo!
Ah,
God, jeez.
Jesus, I was going crazy waiting up there for you two to show up, but it was worth it. It was worth it to see the look on your face. So, Ozzy, I saw you talking to Rachel Ferguson earlier this week. Anything interesting happen?
Oh, nothing happened. I just went over and said hey, and that was about it.
Sure, buddy. We believe you. Right, Rob?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, Leo, if it's so funny, why don't you tell us which girl you like?
Yeah, man, who do you have a crush on?
Um, well, actually, I was hoping to talk to you guys about that. Like, real talk for a sec.
Yeah, sure, man. What's up?
Like, this is pretty important, okay?
You know you can tell us anything.
I've been meaning to tell you this, the both of you this for months, but for some time now. But I couldn't find the right words, or it wasn't the best time. But now it seems like it's the perfect time since no one is around.
Yeah, okay, man. Go for it.
Yeah, and what is it?
I, I, I don't think I like girls like you and Rob do. This is something that I've been thinking about for a while. It scares me to tell you that, but you're my best friends. So that's it. What do you guys think?
Sorry, Leo. It's just that, how could you not like girls? That's just silly. You just haven't found the right one yet. Right, Rob?
Dude, that's your best friend you're talking about, and you just spat on his feelings? That's not cool, man.
What? No. Leo, tell him he's crazy.
When I met Andrew on the first day of our freshman orientation in the fall of 2016, they were dead set on being a history major. It was only a few semesters after that their focus shifted to math. No one really knows why. And then a few semesters after that they finally found creative writing, which thankfully stuck. Anyone who knows Andrew knows that they communicate through stories, whether that's tales of their childhood misadventures, their latest Twitter post, or an incredible short story. Andrew's writing is funny, dynamic, sometimes sad, and oftentimes deals with who you really are, especially when you find yourself in the apocalypse. Now, I am so pleased to introduce Andrew and their piece, Hypnos.
Is this what rock bottom feels like? Lying flat on a carpet that hasn't been vacuumed since it was installed in the 60s, your feet propped up on a coffee table that may buckle under your weight at any moment? The ceiling floats above you, swaying in and out of focus. A vice is tightening its pressure around your head, and maybe you should take Advil or Excedrin, or maybe you should just go to sleep. This all-nighter you decided to pull after pulling an all-nighter last night is obviously not increasing your productivity as you stare at the ceiling, the corners slipping in and out of existence. You fold your arms across your chest, fidgeting with the collar of your sweater. This is your favorite sweater, a knitted wool thing that rubs your skin raw and it's too warm, and you wear it every day because your mom knit it for you. The sweater has coffee staining the sleeves and a little bit of the hem, and a mysterious red stain that you assume is ketchup, or a residue from the nosebleed you had a few days ago. Maybe you should do laundry, get off the floor, do something with your awakeness. But your laundry is in your dorm room across campus, so you don't move. You stare at the student store across from you, peering upside down to see the little display set up behind the glass. It's a spoof of a nativity scene with rats instead, and a giggle erupts from your chest. Your school's mascot is Ricky the Rat, and you are the fighting rats, and though all the students make fun of this, the administration is determined to build rat-based student enthusiasm. To fight the steadily increasing student retention problem, they have decided to make you all feel like one big rat family. The rats are the kind of replica animals that you saw at the Natural History Museum you used to go to on school trips. Smaller, cheaper, but furred and with soulless black glass eyes. Rat Mary has a little wig of curly blonde hair tumbling down her rat shoulders and a little green robe. Baby rat Jesus is swaddled in a blue blanket, a little tuft of blonde curls of his own poking out. Even the rat nativity scene has white Jesus. You laugh with your whole body now, shaking your torso, and you breathlessly roll onto your stomach, the last echo of laughter still in your shoulders. You keep laughing, just a little, until the laughter feels forced, tinged with the exhaustion and panic of your body being awake for 43 hours. The rats stare at you. The collar of your sweater is scratchy and warm at your throat, and you fidget with it, pulling it away from your skin. You suddenly feel too tight, your hands buzzing with energy you feel racing up your chest and into your throat. "White baby rat Jesus," you shout, knowing you are the only person in the building and you need to get this feeling out of your chest. You heave a sigh, not laughing anymore. You don't find it funny anymore as you stare at the rats and the rats stare back. Your collar is scratching at your neck and you swat at it, but the scratching doesn't stop. You are overcome with the vision of a rat, tucked into your collar, clawing into the back of your neck, burrowing itself into you, into your spine, and your forehead hits the carpet. You really need to go to sleep. Your skin is still crawling, but the vision is gone. How long does it take to hallucinate from no sleep? Internet says 36 to 48 hours, so you are right in the sweet spot. You really, really need to go to sleep. At least you'll be able to tell a fun story tomorrow, full of your courageous paper writing and nativity rat bravery. Paper, your paper, you are here to work on your paper. Peeling your face from the abrasive carpet, you hoist yourself up onto the couch nearby. Paper, paper, what is the topic of your paper? What class is it for? You stare at the screen. The title is staring at you. You had written nearly 2 pages before you slid off the couch and laid staring at the rat nativity, but now the words are just swirling on your computer screen. A lone thee floats off the screen towards you and you balk. The thee is right above your shoulder. It dips a bit, beckoning you to follow and then saunters over your shoulder. You turn your head to see where it went and your world tilts. A weight in your chest pivots you, your head rolling on your neck, and your collection of limbs stumbles off the couch and towards the hovering thee. The thee is knocking against, no, has pushed through the glass of the student store door, and when you look through the door for the thee, you get caught on your own reflection. Your eyes are staring back, wide and bloodshot, mascara caked underneath, rivers of gray down your cheeks. You don't remember crying, but his face staring back at you is puffy and red, dry snot on the side of its nose. You have been awake for 43 hours. Did you cry tonight? Did you cry last night? Has it been 2 days since you looked in the mirror? You step closer to the glass and your reflection steps closer to you. The reflection tilts its head at you, eyebrows raised as if to say, "What are you doing?" That tilt sends fire through you. "What am I doing? What are you doing, reflection?" you say. "I've been trying my fucking hardest, and so what if I got behind? I'm still fucking adjusting." You hear your voice rising, raised bubbling in your throat, and you are yelling at the glass door, and I don't know what you fucking expect from me, and the stupid fucking reflection is just staring smugly at you, and the tantalizing, bizarre thee is floating behind the glass, and rage is in your fists and your forearms, and you are bashing at your reflection, but your fists only dent the reflection's awful face, and your sweater's filled with glass shards tearing your arms and hands open, and you scream, the rage exploding into your chest, and you keep hitting and hitting until your reflection is gone, and you are inside the student's store staring at the thee. It hovers above the collectible rat hats, foam things with long snouts that drape off the head. Where the rage consumed you is hollow now, your chest a gaping cavity, blood dripping off of your arms and splish splashes onto the floor. The thee floats over to the rat nativity and you follow it, watching as it blips out of existence right as it tucks itself into baby rat Jesus' crib, and you find yourself in its place, teetering over the nativity. Rat Mary's green robe has a dark stain spreading across it as you watch her, and you realize you are dripping blood. Did the glass cut you that bad? You sway, tumbling forward and crashing into the nativity, crushing the table, eerily furred rats falling into the hole your body has made and covering you. Rat Mary is on your chest, staring. "What are you doing?" she asks. "I don't know, Rat Mary," you say. You don't know. You don't know why you haven't slept in 44 hours and why you are bleeding. You know that the pressure on your head is wrapped into your eyes, and now there's a pulsing drumbeat at the base of your neck where you hit it against the rat's stable. Rat Mary scurries up your chest and into your hair, her little claws scratching at your scalp. You swat at her, but she scratches harder, and the wise rats are scratching into your thigh, Rat Joseph biting into your neck. Baby rat Jesus scrambles onto your throat, and you strain to look at him, his blonde curls peeking up over your chin. What are you doing here? He asks. The scratching burns, and you're trying to reply, but instead you just groan. What are you doing? Baby rat Jesus asks. You groan again, louder, seeing your reflection in the broken glass, standing and watching you. Behind your reflection is a sea of rats, pouring out from the back room of the store, some with little multicolored robes, some with glued-on blonde curls. You can hear the click, click, click of their little yellow nails on the fake wood floor, and they swarm you, flowing over your body until all you can do is scream against the tide of rats. What are you doing? A voice asks. The voice is not Rat Mary, not Baby Rat Jesus, not your reflection, not yours. It is a deep, angry voice that you hear above the sounds of the rats consuming you. You can't answer. You try, but the ache in your head is too loud to think through. What are you doing? The voice asks again. The pressure of the rats, clawing, burrowing, biting into you is too strong for you to understand anything. You try to respond. You try to open your eyes, but they burn, clawed out by Rat Mary. What are you doing? You scream.